Alrighty, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. I hope everyone is having a fantastic evening. It's good as always to have you guys here for another update, my friends. Hope everyone is doing good. It's good to have you guys here for another stream. Now, let's see what we got here today. We have Janice, we have Crystal, we have Abby, we have Cheryl, we have, let's see here, Mark, we have Katie, we have Gavin. Let's see here. Mark, let's see here, Weather, and of course everybody else who is here but just not chatting. Hope you guys are doing well. So we have a little bit of severe weather going on right now. That's not going to be the main focus of this stream, but we will mention it really quickly. So tomorrow we do need to be weather aware. Oh, that is a really tiny tornado warning. Holy cow, look how small that tornado warning is. Hold on a minute. Southeast Colorado here. I don't think anybody's out here really. Well, maybe a couple people. Not really many, though. Radar indicated threat 11 minutes ago on that one. Anyways, but yeah, this stream is mostly going to be about what's going on tomorrow. Because we actually do have a 5% risk for tornadoes tomorrow that we do need to monitor and be weather aware. Love to do graphics. How do I make them? Lots and lots and lots of time to make these graphics here. I made them by, well, I wouldn't say by hand, but I sketched them out myself, essentially, so didn't use really any templates. I just kind of did it all by myself. But anyways, so we got 3 inches of rain an hour, flooded big time. Oh, yeah, that's not very good. We definitely been needing the rain here. We actually finally been getting a little bit of rain down in Florida. It's actually been nice for once. We're actually having a rain again, but. All right, everybody. So today we have a little bit of a slight risk going on here. Up here across the west central panhandle of Texas and a little bit of east central New Mexico. In the intro screen, we had the radar up here. We have a couple of pretty strong storms going on, severe thunderstorms happening. Mostly a hail concern as of right now. Between these two storms out here in eastern New Mexico, you can see the hail cores that are on these guys. We have one here southwest of Tucumcari. I have no idea how you say that one. Out there by Logan as well here. You can see those pink areas here, these blobs. That's basically where the hail core is right now. But anyways, between these storms here, we're talking 1.5 to 1.75 inches in diameter regarding the hail size out there. So definitely pretty big hail. That's going to be mainly today's concern. But anyways, hopping back over to the Storm Prediction Center here. Tornado-wise, we do have a 2% chance for tornadoes this evening here. We cannot rule out the potential here for a couple of tornadoes across portions of east central New Mexico and a little bit of the western panhandle of Texas. Damaging wind threat, we have a 15% risk overall for damaging wind gusts here across the yellow, which, 15% risk for damaging wind gusts is going to be mostly between that 60 and that 70 mile per hour winds in terms of probability and stuff is a 15%. And, of course, across the brown here we have that 5%. We have a non-significant hail threat today, nothing really super significant, although we do have some pretty large hail going on here. But like I mentioned, tomorrow is the day that I really want to pay attention to because we do have a big slight risk here. And look at this crazy marginal that we have, this level 1 threat. I mean, this thing literally shoots all the way from the plains in the Rockies, or near the Rockies here, all the way through the Midwest into the Tennessee-Ohio Valley, up deep into the northeast here, which is pretty darn crazy. So it's a pretty long risk tomorrow for severe weather. Now, as a little bit of a reminder, and for folks that are new to this, the dark green area here represents the first level of severity regarding severe weather concerns. So across the green, the dark green here, I should say, it's a possibility that we could get severe weather in these regions tomorrow. So we're going to have to look out for that. But as you can kind of tell, we have this yellow, which is the level 2 severe weather threat, a little bit greater of a concern overall here for tomorrow. Across portions of Oklahoma, across portions of Kansas, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, we do have a pretty decent sized level 2 risk. Now, tornado-wise, tornadoes will be a concern tomorrow. We do need to be watching out for the weather tomorrow, tornado-wise. So we do have this level 5, or sorry, not level 5, 5% level 2 tornado risk here across the Brown, which does include some areas out there by like Amarillo, Lubbock. We cannot rule out potentially a couple of tornadoes here along the panhandle of Texas, going through the panhandle of Oklahoma into southwest Kansas here in that 5% risk overall. Then a 2% chance here across the Green here as well. What's up, Evans? Hope you're doing good. Seen so much on Facebook about the floods that are around Wichita. I did not see that. How have I been? I've been pretty good, man. I've been pretty busy. I hope you've been doing good yourself. Let's see. Tabletop, kind of worried about the severe weather threat. Let's see here. Yeah, so Tabletop, you're not in the risk for severe weather tomorrow. You're in the thunderstorm risk here. Potential for a couple booms of thunder, but nothing really severe is expected here overall. So that is... Whoops. Hold on. Let me reconfigure this real quickly. It'll let me. There we go. Oh my gosh, why am I so bright? But anyways, yeah, so like I mentioned, yeah, you're not in the risk here for tomorrow. Now, hopping over to the wind concern tomorrow, we do have a 15% risk up here across the yellow, 5% chance here across the brown. In terms of gusty winds tomorrow across the regions here, we are going to be talking the potential of wind gusts between 60 and 70 miles an hour. And then lastly, in terms of hail, we actually do have 2 areas of hatch risk concern. So you see where this black dashed area is. This is where we actually could see some pretty... some pretty large hail. I mean, we are talking potentially 2 inches in diameter and possibly even larger, given the fact that we're in that hatch risk here. So that's, there's actually a hatch risk up here across like Lubbock, in like west central Texas, as well as another one up here towards the panhandle of Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, and a little bit of southeastern Colorado overall. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely do need to look out there for the, concern here of hail tomorrow. That's, as of right now, kind of one of the big concerns here overall. So we'll definitely look out there for that, in which that is going to be here for tomorrow being Thursday. Now, going into Friday, we have a weird-looking outlook. It's definitely one of the weird-looking outlooks here, but we do have another level 2 threat here for Friday. As of right now, there is no breakdown for Friday's risk here, but we'll certainly look out there for it overall. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys informed and weather aware of the next couple of days. We're definitely going to be here to help keep you guys up to par and just up to date with everything going on here. So anyway, so that's what's kind of going on now. Now let's hop over here to the tropics for a minute, y'all. So obviously we had Alvin that rolled through a little bit ago. Now we have another tropical disturbance here in the eastern Pacific that we do need to look out there for, in which we do have an 80% chance probability here for tropical development overall. So throughout the next 7 days, the next week, we have ourselves an 80% chance here overall here for the probability of tropical development. Now, throughout the next 2 days, the next 48 hours, we're not really expecting this thing to turn into much. So, the odds of this thing developing over the next 2 days is pretty darn low. However, over the next week is actually pretty high. So we're likely getting ready to get another tropical cyclone here in the eastern Pacific. We did have a little disturbance that's been popping up across, the U.S. southeast coast. The Hurricane Center actually had a little 10% on it a little bit ago, but they actually removed it. Yeah, the odds of this thing turning into anything is not going to be really expected. The waters actually, believe it or not, are still pretty cold out in these regions here. So not really quite conducive for like full-on tropical development here overall. But yeah, I tell you what though, the Gulf, it is heating up quick. It is definitely heating up quick. Take a look at these sea surface temperatures here as of now. Much of the Gulf here is within the range of 28 to 29 degrees Celsius in terms of those surface, not surface temperatures, the surface water temperatures, in which they are pretty darn warm and now within the threshold for tropical development here. So we are in the realm now where tropical activity could happen. As of the current moment, though, there is really no systems. I know you guys probably been hearing people go crazy talking about tropical activity and stuff. As of right now, there's nothing we're looking out for at the current moment. GFS is just being GFS lately. It has been consistent in showing a tropical cyclone for the people who have seen that, but there's really not much guidance going on right now, so nothing to worry about currently across the Atlantic waters in the Gulf. So Atlantic side, at least as of right now, we are doing pretty good. But yeah, in terms of tropical development, though, really the only thing we need to look out for is going to be for the Eastern Pacific out here. Now, let's take a minute to hop to the models here. Looking at the GFS now, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a warning here. Like I mentioned, you can never take the models precisely. They're good, but they're not perfect. Now, the GFS, like I mentioned, has been really pointing towards some tropical activity, but let me remind you that this is like 300 hours out. La La Land, essentially. This is just way out of reach, but GFS has just been being GFS in terms of showing tropical cyclones and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, you're probably going to be seeing this and people spreading misinformation and stuff about, oh my gosh, there's a tropical cyclone going to the Gulf, but don't worry about it because it is just way too far out, and it's just this model being the GFS. It's just the GFS doing its own thing. Now, when forecasting tropical weather, what's really important is not to look at one model. Not just one model. You need to take a look at multiple different models. And not only that, but you also need to look at multiple different model runs as well. So taking a look at the Euro here, in terms of the latest extended range, I mean, you really don't see anything going on here. I mean, I don't like to go too far out because, the further you go out, the more inaccurate it can tend to get, because of, more inconsistencies and all kinds of stuff. But anyways, so basically, I mean, there's really nothing going on in the Atlantic. So let me go ahead and tell you, like I mentioned, guys, if you are hearing anything about anybody saying that there's a tropical cyclone here, there's not. There is not. It's just GFS being GFS. I just want to help lower people's fear because I know a lot of people are just doing it for clicks and stuff. So just be aware of that, okay? But yeah, this right here, don't worry about it. It's literally way too far out. All right. Anyways, but yeah, so hopping back over here to the other program here. Like I mentioned, what I really want you guys to be looking out for, though, is severe weather. That's the main thing that we need to focus on right now. Tropics, I'll let you know what happens with the tropical weather, but as of now, there is no concerns in the Atlantic or the Gulf or the Caribbean. We are looking pretty good as of right now. But like I mentioned, the main concern, though, over the next 2 days, really, 2 or more days, actually, if we hop over to Saturday's risk here, we actually do have another little 15% risk here across the southeast and all kinds of stuff. But we'll get into that whenever it gets a little closer. But anyways, yeah, so the main thing that I want you guys to be focusing on now is severe weather. And, like I mentioned here, tomorrow's concern, we do have that threat for all hazards. Tornadoes, like we mentioned, is a pretty decent risk for tornadic activity here with a 5% risk here. That's where the greatest concern for severe weather is going to be up here in the panhandle of both Texas and Oklahoma. Southwestern Kansas here, those are kind of the hot spots here for tomorrow regarding the tornado risk here. Now, it is a 5%, which is still a relatively lower end risk, but, we cannot rule out a couple of tornadoes tomorrow. Now, another thing I want to do here is I do want to bring up the models again, but I do want to take a look here at the future radar with you guys. We're going to go ahead and pull that up for everybody because tomorrow's storm mode appears to be semi-discrete, if not discrete itself, in terms of the storm mode. So what that means is that cells should be possibly firing off relatively isolated, meaning that they are kind of far spread apart between other cells, which, is a good thing in terms of, severe weather not being as common, if that makes sense. It being more spread out can make it less likely for you to get impacted, but it can make the storms a little bit stronger themselves. Discrete storms have the environments all around them to use to their advantage without any interference from other cells. Now, let me bring you guys over here to the future radar here. We're going to take a peek here at the 18 Zulu UTC, or 18 UTC HRRR run here. So let's go ahead and bring you guys over there now. So the time is in the top right here if you guys do want to follow along. So let's go ahead and turn off the winds here. I feel like we don't really need those, to be honest with you. We're not going to use those as of now, just the radar. So at the current moment, yeah, obviously, yeah, we have a little bit of storm activity kind of going on here. The time, like I mentioned, is in the top right here. It does look like we definitely could have some storms going on overnight and into tomorrow morning here up across, the Panhandle. You can see possibly a couple strong storms working their way into the region here. But later on tomorrow afternoon, you can kind of see how we have these discrete cells like we were talking about here. You can see that there is going to be that potential. Now, the problem, like I mentioned with those discrete cells, is that they can really use the atmosphere to their advantage once again, and they can, they have little to no interference of other, of other storms developing. So it kind of gives them a good potential. Now, that's the way tomorrow's mode kind of looks like. It's mostly discrete, actually. You can see a couple of those, supercells developing here across like western Texas and so forth, which will continue throughout the evening. As multiple rounds of supercells could be quite possible here overall. And of course, it does look like that. We could still see some convection going into the overnight hours of Thursday night into Friday. That might be something to look out here for as well. But yeah, like I mentioned, just know that tomorrow's mode here, from what it looks like, at least from the HRRR, appears to be mostly discrete in terms of some isolated cells, which could be a concern. Now, we're going to overlay the wind shear now. Let's go actually, first of all, let me overlay the Storm Prediction Center's outlook here for tomorrow, at least the tornado risk here for tomorrow. So you can see that 5% that we do have here across the way. And like we mentioned, the main timeline for that is going to be relatively kind of tomorrow afternoon, going into the evening here. Overall, you can see where that 5% risk here is at the current moment. So, we'll definitely make sure to keep you guys, up to date, and make sure to help keep you guys weather aware and, with everything like that. We might actually end up doing coverage tomorrow. I'm going to think about it because, given that 5% and those discrete storms, it could be a problem in which, we definitely do need you guys to be actively watching that. So let's grab a little sounding here. Let's see what we got going on. So you can see that veering wind shear column in the lower atmosphere. So we do have that veering going on here. The good news is that our lower level wind shear is actually fairly low end. It's nothing super significant in terms of our lower level wind shear. So as of now, I don't expect any significant tornadoes, but I do expect a potential for maybe a couple, weak to maybe moderate tornadic activity here for tomorrow. Just given soundings like this, and from what I was pulling before I went live and stuff like that, it seems like that could be, quite a possibility here there overall. I mean, SRH here is, the effective inflow layer is pretty decent at 228. I mean, that could definitely favor some tornadic activities, with that spin in the lower atmosphere. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, it looks pretty good. Good moisture, good spread out instability throughout the atmosphere. Tomorrow does look like a pretty good day for really all hazards here. Once again, we're talking actually potential for hail to be quite large here. As of right now, like I mentioned here, tomorrow's hail risk, we do have those two hatch risks here. Overall here for the hail concern, which you guys can see here in that black dashed region here, which we have one up across the west central side of Texas, just south of the Panhandle, and we have another one for the Panhandle here of Oklahoma, in southwestern Kansas, southeastern Colorado here overall. So anyways, what's up, SPC? Hope you're doing good, my friend. Edward says, thanks for all your hard work that you do. You're very welcome, my friend. I appreciate your comment. That's really nice of you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I try to do the best I can. I might not be the best out there, but you know what, man? I tell you, I do the best I can to help keep you guys weather aware, and that's really all that matters, right? It's just making sure that you guys are staying safe. It really is. But thank you, Edward. I really appreciate that. That's really nice of you, my friend. But yeah, so like I said, not just tomorrow, though, we need to look out for it. Also here for Friday, too. So really the next 2 days, we do need to be pretty actively weather aware in terms of the weather that's going to be going on here. So yeah, pretty active, actually, pretty active. And like I said, not just even Friday, but also Saturday, too. I forgot to mention, we have that other 15% risk here that actually kind of works its way down into the southeastern U.S. I mean, places out there by Georgia, the Carolinas, could see some severe weather here for sure. Pretty decent risk here. That's already equivalent to right around a slight risk here for severe weather, that level 2 threat. So we're going to definitely need to look out there for that here overall. So hopping back to models here, though, let's go ahead and overlay Friday's threat here real quickly. We're just going to go ahead and take a look at it and see what we got going on here. So that would be for day 3. Excuse me. So for day 3, we do have that slight risk out there across the plains and whatnot. If it'll load, that would be pretty nice. There we go. Yeah, like I said, it's a pretty weird-looking risk here. Friday's risk is pretty odd, as you can kind of tell. Both the marginal and the slight risk here is a little odd-shaped here. Now, timing, like I mentioned before in previous streams, I'm not really a fan of looking too far out with the timing because of the inconsistencies and stuff, but we'll take a quick little peek here. We'll actually pull up the NAM 3K, which, is a model. It's good that, despite, some models having bad histories and stuff, it's good to look at all of them, because kind of getting knowledge of the common ground between the models is how to be a good forecaster, and making sure that you're taking all opinions and not just one. Being biased in weather is a very bad thing to do, and that's how you become very unpredictable, or inaccurate, I should say, is probably the real word I should use. Anyways, but yeah, so looking at the NAM here, in terms of tomorrow, you can just kind of see here bunch of scattered storms popping off here, throughout the afternoon, evening. Not really much. It looks a little different, of course, but not really much different than kind of what the HRRR was saying here, So relatively just a bunch of kind of scattered storms would be the likelihood tomorrow. But then you can kind of see here, actually, I don't know if y'all saw this earlier, but the HRRR actually picked up on this as well. Looking here into early Friday, you can kind of see this line of storms here. This is pretty early. This is in the morning time. But you can kind of see this line here of storms that could roll through like Oklahoma, towards OKC, towards Tulsa. Could certainly be something to look out there for. And, given the nature of these, straight line storms, sometimes damaging winds is going to be kind of the main concern. And let me go ahead and grab a little sounding just ahead of that, kind of where the inflow is here. Kind of take a peek at it. So, pretty good amounts of instability here. Moisture, mid 70s dew points. That's pretty darn solid. You can see we do have a little bit of an arch here on our hodograph, indicating that there could be some rotation. So, can't rule out tornadic activity here, given that there is a little bit of veering wind shear and enough helicity to cause that. But yeah, that just kind of shows my point there, is that, that damaging winds would kind of be kind of one of the main concerns here overall. And hopping back to the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh model, like we were just talking about here a little bit ago, the HRRR kind of suggests that as well. And you can kind of see here for the morning of Friday, the HRRR does show that Boeing segment here of storms that could be a concern for damaging wind gusts. And that does kind of work its way out there by the Tulsa region here, towards near Oklahoma City. So we're gonna have to look at that. We're gonna have to look out for that here early on Friday overall. What's up, KJack, saying hi, Andrew and everyone. Thanks for coming on live to fill everyone on what's coming. You're very appreciated. No problem, KJack. You as well, my friend. Thank you. Railfan says, what's the risk for Georgia? Good question. So for Georgia, so this is Friday's risk here. So for Friday, we have a level 1 threat for severe weather across the central side. Now, we actually have another risk for Saturday, which we'll get into in a minute. A little bit greater here for Saturday. But in terms of Friday's risk here, we have that level 1 severe weather threat. So it's pretty low in risk, but still chance for severe weather. But up towards the north here, we actually do have a level 2 slight risk here overall, towards the Atlanta region here, potential for, more of a likelihood for severe weather, and potentially a little bit stronger storms can't be ruled out here across some of those regions. But like I was just mentioning, though, deleting the Friday's outlook here, looking at Saturday, like I mentioned here, we actually do have that big 15% risk here overall here for Saturday, in which we're going to have to look out there for. And, that really spreads across a lot of the southeastern states, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, the Carolinas here, impacted potentially by the storms here, which, could definitely be a concern in terms of that in terms of the severe weather and stuff like that. Now, taking a quick little peek back here, I do want to bring up another page here. Still take a look at the models. I just want to, for some reason, I like using this page for looking at wind shear, but I like the other page for the reflectivity and stuff here. But taking a look here at the NAM, let's go ahead and bring you guys back over here. So taking a look at the NAM here for Saturday, looking at the lower level wind shear and stuff. As you can see, we do have a little bit of a lower level disturbance here in a little itty bitty trough. It's hard to kind of make out there, but there is a little bit of a trough there. Lower level kinematics here. We have westerlies, so winds going to the west to the east here. About 20, 30 knots or so, which, isn't really anything significant. So that's that. Corbin, no, there's no hurricane coming for anywhere in the U.S. There's a lot of misinformation that people have been spreading about the tropics here in the Atlantic, but I'm here to tell you there is nothing coming for the Gulf, nothing coming for the Atlantic or the Caribbean as of now. Okay, what you've been seeing here is a lot of the people overhyping the GFS model, which is not a accurate model to look 200 plus hours out. It's never a good idea to look at models that far out. Yeah, it's nothing but people just trying to make money off of you. Essentially, that's essentially what it is, and that's what people do. They just do that to spread fear, to get the clicks. It's ridiculous, and I can't tell you how much it bothers me, dude. It's so dumb, but just please make sure that you are, finding a trustworthy source. And like I said, that's what we're here for, to keep you guys informed. And I'm here to tell you there's nothing coming for the Gulf, nothing for the Caribbean or the Atlantic as of right now. Now, like I mentioned, what you've been seeing is the GFS just being the GFS. That model does that when you're 200 plus hours out. It's ridiculous. But and like I was mentioning earlier, it's good to it's good to not just look at one model. That's a very bad thing to do. You need to look at more than one model. You need to look at the main models like Euro. If you have consistent agreement between multiple models and several runs of those models, at that point you can determine if a tropical activity will be a concern. But as of right now, here to tell you, everything's okay in the Atlantic. But we do have that system in the Pacific that we're watching, though, which, could be developing here within the next week or so. So we'll have to look out there for that. Anyways, but yeah, back to what I was saying here, though. Hopping away over in the Saturday, you can see that we have a pretty good amount of instability here that builds in through the south. We're talking a pretty decent amount, between 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of mixed layer instability. That's a pretty good amount of fuel throughout the atmosphere, to get convection going and to get storm activity initiated. But like I mentioned here, in terms of the kinematics here, lower level wind shear, it's nothing excessive, but, a good 20, 30, 40 knots, if this did occur, could allow for decent storm organization, possibly allowing for long-lived storms to occur. Now, tornadic-wise, I don't really see being an issue, and here's why. Because the lower-level winds here are moving to the east, right? So we have that flow from the west to the east here. So essentially, as you go up in altitude, this is lower levels here, you can see that the wind shear doesn't really change much. The winds are mostly flowing in the same direction throughout the atmosphere. It's mostly linear as you go up throughout altitude. And because of that, that's not really allowing for that spin to occur, for the lower level helicity to really be high enough for tornadic activity. So that does not really seem like a concern here overall. Now, like we mentioned, for storms itself, it's a really good environment for thunderstorms. Yes, very, very good environment for thunderstorms. And, I wouldn't even rule out potential for, damaging wind gusts and stuff. There is that severe weather risk after all, which is more than likely going to be just a main concern for damaging winds, possibly even hail, which we'll have to look into. But, look at this. The moisture content here, dude, it's going to be so muggy in the south, guys. Y'all are going to realize how muggy it's going to be here. It's just crazy. It's already kind of been like this here, the 70s degree dew point zone. When you have your dew point in the 70s, it is muggy usually because that is a lot of water vapor present in the atmosphere. We're talking, mid 70 degree dew points here, across a lot of the south here, which is going to be great, great moisture being shot up from the surface to the upper levels. It definitely looks pretty good. in terms of the moisture supply here. Like I mentioned, kinematic-wise, we have decent winds, which could allow for some good storm organization, but I don't really think tornadic activity is going to be much of a big concern here overall. And, once again, the instability, pretty good. So we have good instability. We have good moisture as well as good enough organization or good enough wind shear here. I should say, for storms to organize themselves. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat back there. But yeah, so that's kind of what we got going on there. We'll keep you guys updated on Saturday here. Once again, Friday as well. We do have that severe weather risk here, and actually, according to NAM here, you can see a pretty good amount of instability actually building its way in here towards the Tennessee Ohio Valley here. A good couple thousand joules per kilogram of instability here. Kinematics wise, lower level wind shear, weak, very, very weak. So really wouldn't support anything tornadic, I don't think, for these regions here on Friday. Mid-level flow is even weaker, to be honest. So, yeah, kinematics are pretty weak, but we have good moisture and good instability in the regions here. 2 out of 3 ingredients that are really needed for severe weather. But given it, I do think that there could be still some severe weather in terms of mostly gusty winds and stuff. But anyways. Let's see here. It's been so hazy thanks to the fires. Oh, yeah, I've been hearing about that. Up north, those Canadian fires. Yeah, absolutely. Do I think we'll be talking about a potential tornado outbreak any of the next 3 days? I don't think it's going to be tornado outbreak material. While tornadoes will be a concern, definitely, I don't think it's going to be an outbreak of tornadoes. Now, a collective outbreak between tornadoes, hail, and winds over the next 2 to 3 days, yeah, that's quite possible. But in terms of a full-on tornado outbreak, no. It's just conditions aren't really that potent for a all-time crazy outbreak to occur. So, no. But with that being said, though, it is definitely still a concern, and there is still that those ingredients in place here for that nasty weather and stuff, for tornadic activity and everything like that. I mean, tomorrow here you can kind of see as we approach our way later on into the afternoon and evening here. I mean, we have a lower level jet, about 25, 30 knots in some places here on our lower level wind shear, and you can see that the wind direction does change with altitude. So here's our mid-level flow. You can see the winds are going from pretty much the west to the east here. And our lower level flow here you can see is going from the south to the north. So, that change in wind direction, creates that spin in the lower atmosphere, which is needed for, potentially rotating storms that we call supercells. And, given that we have the kinematics there, the wind shear, nothing significant, but it's enough for tornadic activity. And a pretty good amount of instability, actually. The NAM here is suggesting maybe 3,000 joules per kilogram or more. Of mixed layer instability, which, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of fuel. And, of course, lastly, moisture-wise, I mean, we do have a pretty good amount of moisture working its way into the region here. As you can kind of see, those dew points here for tomorrow is actually going to be in the 60s overall, which is, yeah, in the good Goldilocks zone for moisture, at least regarding storm activity. So, but, yeah, so nothing outbreak material-wise, but still possibility for some good severe weather, including a couple tornadoes will be quite possible. But anyways, so that's that. So yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, guys, just make sure you all are being weather aware over the next couple of days here. Tonight, like we mentioned, we have a little bit of severe weather going on now. Not really anything super duper crazy. Pretty large hail is going to be possible in some of these storms here. You can kind of see that a couple of them are up for 1.5 inches in diameter, so pretty good amounts. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for a little bit of Panhandle, Texas, and east central New Mexico here. And then, of course, like we mentioned here, tomorrow we do have that really long marginal risk that goes all the way from pretty much Mexico all the way up towards Canada. I mean, you can see that shoots all the way through the Central Plains, Southern Plains, through the Midwest, into the Ohio Valley, and up into the Northeast here. I mean, it's a pretty long marginal risk here, with the greatest risk for severe weather being here across the yellow in that slight risk level 2 threat, which this is going to be the main area that we need to look out for tomorrow here. Once again, tornado-wise, having a 5% risk here, 2% in the green, damaging winds 15 in the yellow, 5 in the brown, hail with those 2 hatch risk areas here, potential for, hail 2 inches in diameter and larger here in that 15% risk hitter in the yellow, 5% across the brown. Then we work our way over here into, like we mentioned, Friday, which Friday's risk here is a level 2 threat for a lot of the central southern plains, a lot of the lower Midwest and the Tennessee Valley. Will be quite possible for a bit of severe weather going on there. And then lastly, Saturday, kind of some similar areas here in the risk here overall. So, but anyways, folks, but yeah, we'll be here just to make sure that you guys are staying weather aware, and we'll keep you guys updated and stuff like that over the next little bit. And like I mentioned, tomorrow I do plan on doing a stream with you guys, on the storm system to kind of talk about what's going on with it and stuff. And we'll do a bit of an update there for you guys tomorrow. But anyways, folks, well, if y'all have any questions before I roll off here, I know we're cutting a little bit early today, but like I mentioned, kind of got everything we really need to get out there with you guys, just kind of let y'all know what's going on here. But if you guys are new to the channel, consider leaving a like and hitting that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated, everybody. Thank you all for joining. But like we mentioned, you guys, if y'all do have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. We'll be more than happy to help you guys here overall. But anyways, so yeah, and like I mentioned here, tropic-wise, the Eastern Pacific is the only thing that we're looking out for right now. Like I said, ignore those stupid posts that you're seeing here talking about the Gulf and the Caribbean and the Atlantic. There's nothing going on in the Atlantic right now, so we're chilling. So don't worry about the Atlantic. I'll let you guys know if something happens with the weather in the Atlantic, but right now, all that post that you guys have been seeing is nonsense and just hype. There is nothing going on in the Atlantic or the Gulf right now. Hurricane Center has nothing on the outlook here, because what people are looking at and what they're hyping over is one model that's super far out that usually loves to give tropical development far out, but not really reliable. Anyways, besides tomorrow, since you already went over it, what do I think the storm mode will be like on Friday and Saturday? So it's a little early to tell, really. While tomorrow we do have that discrete mode. That's going to be more than likely the storm mode here. Like the HRRR was suggesting. I mean, even the NAM, the NAM 3K was even suggesting a relatively discrete mode for storms tomorrow. But yeah, we do have that line, like we were just talking about here a little bit ago too. Let me bring you guys back over to models here. This is going to be for kind of early Friday. But we do have this kind of line that could develop here. And work its way throughout like Oklahoma, maybe even into like Arkansas or whatnot. I mean, a pretty good little push of storms there could be a concern, in which typically those modes here are the ones that can produce a lot of straight line winds and stuff like that. So we could have a pretty early morning threat here for early Friday. If that does materialize, which seems quite possible, given that there is more than one model supporting it. So, yeah. We'll have to look into it more. Let's see. Checking in from Eastern Georgia, getting prepared for Saturday. Been here, potential for derecho setup. I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, Saturday we do need to be weather aware. So the SPC does have a 15% risk for severe weather, Brock, as of right now. So central, northern Georgia, just Georgia should be monitoring the weather on Saturday. Severe weather will be possible. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it. Now, in terms of the mode here, I mean, Saturday is still, quite a few days out. So, there is still a lot of things that can change between now and Saturday in terms of, storm mode and stuff like that. I mean, for example, the short range model, like the HRRR right now, doesn't even go out to Saturday currently. So it's still just a little bit too far to be for sure on the storm mode and stuff. But we'll have to see. And I don't think it's going to be much of a tornadic concern like we kind of determined here. I think it's going to be probably more of a damaging wind concern in terms of, the main severe factor for you. I think the damaging winds is going to be the main concern here overall. So, but anyways, alrighty, everybody. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here for now. We're going to go ahead and head off here for right now. But yeah, we'll be back here, guys, tomorrow for some more updates and stuff like that with you guys. We'll make sure to keep you guys weather aware and everything. If you aren't in the channel, once again, hit that subscribe button, leave a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. Just want to go ahead and say thank you, everybody, for joining. You guys are amazing. And, like I mentioned, we'll keep you guys updated. Remember, nothing going on in the Atlantic. So if you see anything going on in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Gulf, or I just said the Gulf, in the Gulf or the Caribbean or the Atlantic here, just yeah, make sure that you guys are, just keeping an eye on reliable sources. Remember, the Gulf right now, there is nothing going on. So we'll keep you guys updated. We'll let you guys know whenever things do pop off. No problem, Brock. No problem, Iguana. Ragtide, thank you. I appreciate it. But you guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night, my friends. We'll be back here essentially tomorrow. And we'll catch you guys here in the next one. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining, and we'll see you guys later on. Thank you so much, K-Jack. I appreciate it. But you guys take care, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.